This is just going to be a very fast video. It's going to be an example of a more advanced technique that I use, and I'll be talking about it later in another video. It's going to be about profection years and how profection years is really just a misinterpreted technique that belongs to a more elaborate system. Basically, the theory is whenever you're born on your first year, your first house is activated. So I don't know if you guys could see that, but that's this right here. And then after a year, you move on to the next house, which is going to be the second house right here. Oops, sorry about that. After that year, it'll be the third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, right, and so on and so forth. So the concept is, as you progress through the ages, it is basically stating that the house is being activated. So whenever you're trying to make a prediction or look at a transit, let's say you are 10 years old, right? Your 10th house is going to therefore be activated, so you get a new job. That's not really what's happening, but most people would say that. However, this makes only some sense because obviously as you progress throughout life, right? Let's say you're going through your first cycle, right? You get to 12. Now you're 13 years old. It's going to repeat back to the first house right here. And let's say you fast forward, right? To your like 20s and 30s or something, whatever, right? Let's just say your seventh house is being activated. Well, your seventh house activates, you get married, maybe you don't, but let's just assume you do, right? Well, if we count from 7, right? And we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. What happens to the people that do stay married? Or what happens to the people that get divorced before they make it to either that house again, or even if it happens in the same year, right? Transits alone aren't going to explain this, and profection years aren't either. So again, I'll dive deeper into this later in a longer, more elaborate video, but this is just to kind of show you that you can't just copy paste a technique. You have to investigate where it comes from and if there are other steps to it, right? Because there are conditional settings that alter your predictions. So the real technique that is supposed to happen, that this is based off of, comes from an old Indian system called Vedic Astrology, okay? It's called the Vedic Chakra Paddhati. And it's not just going through your first and 12th house and then repeating over and over. What it actually does is it resets. So after you do your 12 cycles, right, it's not just going to infinitely go from house to house to house to house. There are 3 major time periods that it is divided on, to where even though it does its 12 cycles, after a while it focuses and restarts on the second house. Because it's not only describing different phases of your life. For example, in your 20s, right, you're not just going back to the first house. Now you're going to the second house. And interestingly, this actually matches with a lot of people's life cycles, because when you're in your 20s, you are focusing on your second house, right? You're going out into the world, or you're learning things to add value, right? Like maybe you're in college, maybe both. And then after that, it enters a comma house. So you start thinking more about relationships now that you've got a little money in your pocket. As you start to get older, you're not just doing work or discovering yourself. Now you're discovering other people on a deeper level as a result of discovering yourself. But there's an even deeper layer to this. And the reason it is using a house a year isn't because it's just random or because it's saying, oh, yeah, every year a different house gets activated. There's actually a deeper logic behind this. So, what it is it is tracking Jupiter. Because in this system of astrology, Jupiter is known as the Jivatma. Uh, to kind of translate it for you, it's like your soul indicator. Jupiter's like the planet that's giving you your amount of breaths in this lifetime. It's also your luck, it's your defense. And you're not supposed to just look at Jupiter, right? You look at Saturn as well, because in this system, physical manifestation of something is a combination of Jupiter and Saturn either conjuncting with themselves or aspecting each other or making an indirect connection with either like the nakshatras or some kind of sambandha is what they call that. So once you start to draw in all of these extra elements and factors, now you get even clearer things as to why sometimes perfect. Because I see it all the time. Like there's people that'll be like, "Oh my God,